All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about something really fascinating, the evolving battle against autoimmune disease. And really, it's a story about a civil war happening inside our own bodies, and the incredible science that's trying to broker a peace treaty.
So, to really get what this war is all about, you gotta understand the army, right? And your immune system, wow, it's this huge, incredibly sophisticated force. We're talking trillions of cells, constantly patrolling every single inch of your body. It's this internal defense system that's just mind-bogglingly complex and powerful. And its mission? Super simple, crystal clear. Find and destroy any foreign invaders. We're talking viruses, bacteria, parasites, basically anything that isn't you. And when it's all working like it should, it's the seamless, life-saving operation that's going on every single second of every single day without you even noticing.
But what happens when that army's command and control system just breaks down? What happens when it can't tell the difference between a friend and an enemy anymore, and it turns all those powerful weapons on the very body it's supposed to protect? Well, that is the central crisis of an autoimmune disease.
Okay, so to figure out how we fight this war, first, we need to really understand the conflict itself. What's actually going on when your body's own defenses go rogue? So, at its very core, an autoimmune disease is a case of mistaken identity. It's your immune system flagging your own perfectly healthy cells and tissues as threats, and then launching this relentless attack. All this friendly fire leads to chronic inflammation and damage, and this isn't some rare thing. We're talking about a problem that affects an estimated 3 to 10% of people all over the world. That's huge. Now, in this internal war, there are some key players we need to meet. First up, you've got the T cells. Think of these guys as the frontline soldiers. Their job is to recognize specific enemies, but in autoimmunity, they get confused. They start initiating attacks on the body's own loyal citizens, its healthy tissues.
Then you have the B cells. These are the weapons factories of the immune system. They're supposed to be producing antibodies to fight off invaders, but in this case, they've been compromised. They start churning out what are called autoantibodies. These are weapons specifically designed to target your own cells.
And finally, let's talk about the cytokines. These are the battlefield messengers. We're talking about proteins like TNF and IL-6. Normally, they're super helpful. They help coordinate the attack on invaders. But in an autoimmune response, they go haywire. They start spreading messages of inflammation everywhere, escalating the conflict and calling in even more immune cells to attack friendly targets. It's chaos.
So for decades, really, our only way to step into this war was with just overwhelming non-specific force. This was the first era of treatment, the blunt force approach. And this approach really relied on drugs like steroids, prednisone. Steroids are basically a form of medical carpet bombing. They don't discriminate at all. They just shut down cytokine production and wipe out immune cells across the board to try and stop the rebellion. Yeah, it's powerful, but it is anything but precise. And this really shows you the trade-off perfectly. Steroids are the hammer. Sure, they can stop the attack, but that broad brush immunosuppression causes a ton of collateral damage. This really highlighted the urgent need for a scalpel, a way to, surgically remove the problem without taking down the entire system with it.
And this need for precision, it kicked off a true revolution in treatment. We started moving from those blunt instruments to what you can think of as smart therapies.
And this chart here really breaks down the new strategy. Instead of carpet bombing, scientists developed these incredibly targeted therapies. So if you look at that top row, you've got drugs like infliximab. These act like smart bombs, designed to find and neutralize specific cytokine messengers like TNF. Then, the next row shows drugs like rituximab. These are engineered to hunt down and destroy those rogue B-cell weapons factories. And on the bottom, you've got things called JAK inhibitors, which act like signal jammers inside the cell, interrupting that whole inflammatory communication network.
And the impact of these drugs has been absolutely staggering. I mean, to give you a sense of scale, just one of these targeted drugs, adalimumab, has been the #1 top-selling drug in the entire world for several years. That single fact just blows my mind. It shows you not just how effective these treatments are, but the sheer scale of these diseases in our society.
And look, this isn't just a small step forward. As the research makes crystal clear, these therapies have been a complete game changer. They fundamentally changed how we manage these really complex and often debilitating conditions.
But what if we could move beyond just trying to suppress the war? What if we could actually negotiate a lasting peace? That right there is the goal of the next frontier in treatment.
And one of the most exciting new approaches is something called CAR T therapy. This is basically a living drug made from a patient's own cells. So check out step 1. Doctors actually take out a patient's T cells. Then, in step 2, those cells are sent to a lab where they're genetically reprogrammed. They're given a whole new mission: hunt down the rogue B cells that are causing the disease. And finally, in step 3, these newly re-educated, smarter cells are infused back into the patient. In one recent case, this approach led to a super rapid and sustained remission in a patient with severe lupus who had failed every other treatment. I mean, that's a truly revolutionary concept.
And all of this points to the ultimate goal, something called immune tolerance. The whole point of therapies like CAR T or these new tolerogenic vaccines that are being developed isn't just to suppress the immune system. No, it's to reteach it, to restore its memory of what's self, so that it just lays down its arms and stops attacking the body. It's about restoring harmony, not just winning a battle.
Which leaves us with a final and pretty fascinating question, right? As we look to the future, are we going to see treatment be less about fighting a war and more about teaching peace? We're seeing this shift from a story of conflict to one of resolution, from waging an internal war to teaching an internal peace. And honestly, this isn't just the future of treating autoimmune disease. This could very well be the future of medicine itself.